Welcome to Smacky's Garage. Today, we're going to be replacing the rear shocks on the 1969 Mustang. Last week, we were able to get through the front shocks. This week, we're going to finish it up and we're going to do the rear. So I took it for a drive, and what I noticed is the front end is so much better. It's not as jarring as it was before when you hit a bump. I tried taking a corner hard and still didn't have much of an impact, so I'm going to go ahead and redo the rear. I still noticed the rear was bouncing around a little bit more than I like. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to replace the rear shocks in this video. And we're going to cover the replacement of it. It's actually relatively simple. We're going to walk through kind of the removal of the shocks. We're going to jack the car up and then we're just going to install the new ones. Now the first thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to remove the rear panel and the rear seat back there. The reason why we have to do this is the top of the shocks are actually located underneath that panel. So removing it is really the only way to get to them. So we're going to start by removing that screw there, and then this screw over here, and opening the trap door. So with the trap door in place, you can see the new carpet that we put in a little while ago. So that's hooked up there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start moving these. Now with these screws removed, I should be able to just lift this up and out of place. Now, with this out of place, you should be able to see access to the shocks, which is apparently under there and there. So we need to go ahead and we're gonna have to cut out that sound deadening. So there you go, you can see the top of one shock. On this side, we'll have the top of another shock. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna remove these. I think it's about a 1/2 inch, so let me go get a drive to do that. Now, with both of those removed, it's gonna make it easier for us to jack this up and take them out. What we're going to do is we're going to jack up the rear, we're going to put it on blocks, and then we're going to remove it. We're going to see if we can get it out first by jacking it up by the rear end without unloading it. If we need to unload the rear end, we'll unload it. All right, now that I have the car up in the air, I'm going to remove the shocks. You can see shock 1 over there. You can see the second shock on that side. So I'm going to go ahead and take out these nuts the same way I did the top ones, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove them. Now I'm going to see if I can compress these enough by hand to take out them without having to drop the rear axle down. So it's one. Both the shocks are out. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to unbox these and set them up before we put them in the car. Now here's the way that they're supposed to be set up. You can see shock is in the center. You have this steel washer up top. You have this bushing. Then you're going to have the body of the car. Then another one of these rubber bushings, and then the nut on, and then the steel washer, and then the nut on top. So it's going to end up looking like this with a nut and the steel of the body here. And the bottom's going to be the same thing. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put these in the car now. Okay, so I got the hardware down here with me. I'm going to take these. I'm going to compress it, and I'm just going to stick it right up and into the hole. So we're going to be installing it from this bracket in this location here up onto the hole up there. You'll see it on both sides. I'm going to put them in the same way I took them out. I'm going to compress them down. I'm going to stick in the top first, and then I'm going to get the bottom. I'm going to let it expand into place. Now that I have the top all the way in place, I can just push this side until it goes over this. And I will let it just fall into place where it needs to be. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll tighten them down. Now you can see what the fit's supposed to look like in there. It's nice and tight. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the other piece on now. So after that's going to come this piece. Then we're gonna put on the washer. Sorry, it's hard to do with the video in one hand. And the nut underneath. Then we're gonna tighten this down in position when we know the top is centered and in location. So that feels good. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna tighten these down. I'm gonna tighten that one down. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I'm gonna put the rubber piece on. So that rubber piece is on. Right head I'm gonna put here and here. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna finish up inside the car now. Okay, now that we have these both all set and in location, you can see it's pretty well centered. That one needs to be moved over a little bit, but I should be able to just move it by hand. There we go. So we can see that one's centered, that one's centered. Now I can go ahead and put the parts right back on it. Shocks are installed. So I'm going to take it out for a ride this weekend. We'll see how it is. There'll probably be an update midweek on a few things. I think one, I'll update you on the shocks, how the performance of them are. Are they actually doing well over the bumps now that I have both the front and rear suspension done? The other thing is we hit 1,000 subscribers. So it's a big milestone for me to finally hit 1,000. And because of it, I'm going to put on a 1,000 subscriber special. Thanks for tuning in today on Smacky's Garage. I'll see you next time.